Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Tassel. We're so excited that you joined us here today to learn about HealthFORCE, which is a very innovative uh, broadcast that will be taking place in November on behalf of the Health Collaborative, and we'll hear a lot more about that here in a little bit. I'm Michael Turner, the Career and Technical Education Manager for Cincinnati Public Schools. Just want to give you just a very brief overview of what we do in the career space in our district. We actually have a lot of things going on in the career space that are really wonderful things. We have what goes on in our career and technical education classrooms. Many times we will call those CTE or career tech education classrooms. We'll say CTE for short. We have about 70 teachers who cover numerous pathways ranging from agriculture to business to IT to health to engineering to business, whatever it may be. We cover 12 career clusters across our district in the career and technical education classrooms. Along with that, we have an entire complement of career-based learning programs where we have students learning what it means to write a great job resume. We have students who are in career pipeline programs where they're working with companies such as DHL and Belkin, just to name a couple. And so with all of that, we're really pointing our students to their futures. And we want to make sure that they are given numerous opportunities to be able to learn what they need to learn in high school so that they are equipped when they walk across the stage and they move into their beyond. And that's why we call this Beyond the Tassel. And so, particularly for students who choose employment as their chosen pathway upon graduation, we offer many different things that give them career education training, as well as many career-based opportunities to equip them for the real world. So what I'd like to do before we introduce our special guest today is I want to have two people from the career area introduce themselves and give us their job titles so that you can begin to connect names with faces. First, I'm going to have Philip introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mr. Philip Jabert. I am the employment specialist for the Career Technical Education Department. I work alongside Mike and Andrea Newbill Hicks as far as working with our employment pipelines and connecting students to their post-secondary pathway for success.
Thank you, Philip. And now, Andrea, can you introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, my name is Andrea Newbill Hicks, and I am the Career-Based Learning Specialist with Cincinnati Public Schools under the Career Tech Department. My primary responsibilities are to set up job shadowing, things of that nature, so that we can give our kids multiple touch points in the classroom.
Thank you, Philip and Andrea. We have a full complement of staff, who are not on here today, that you will learn who they are in future Beyond the Tassel broadcast. But we are so happy that you joined us today. We don't want to delay any longer in getting into our topic for today. We have Helena McKinney, who is the Senior Manager for Workforce Initiatives for the Health Collaborative. And as she gets ready to come on here and get her presentation queued up, I just want to give a personal thank you to her, but also to the Health Collaborative. They are very involved in many of the health initiatives that we have in our school district, but also they have a broader reach in the greater Cincinnati area. And I just really want to give my appreciation to them for everything that they bring to the table that impacts the young people in our district. And so I will turn this over to you, Helena.
Thank you, Mike. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. As Mike said, my name is Helena McKinney, and I am with the Health Collaborative here in Greater Cincinnati. I've seen Beyond the Tassel videos before, and I really think these live streams and videos are a cool way to reach high school students and teachers even in our region and let you know what comes after you graduate. And I really applaud Cincinnati Public Schools for having this type of platform. And I feel very lucky to have the opportunity to be a part of it. And I hope that I can do a good job today and say something helpful to some of you. So I'm going to talk to you today about an event my organization has, but also about the steps that you can take right now to prepare yourself for figuring out if healthcare is a good fit for you and what types of healthcare jobs you might be best for. So the Health Collaborative, we're a regional health improvement nonprofit organization, and we have a mission to lead data-driven improvement that results in healthier people, better care, and lower costs. And so our vision is to make Greater Cincinnati healthier by design and get everyone connected to quality healthcare. So probably like, what does all that mean? It just means we do a lot of projects and programs and services for our region's hospitals and for other healthcare organizations, high schools, colleges, basically anyone who works in or gets healthcare, we impact in some way. And so the program I work in is the Health Collaborative's Workforce Innovation Department. Like Mike said, I serve as the Senior Manager of Workforce Initiatives. So what is Workforce Initiatives or Workforce Innovation? Our website is listed right there, workforce.healthcollab.org. And basically workforce teams, and this is in any field, not just healthcare, they try to make sure that the organization or the region or some community that they serve has enough employees, has quality employees, has happy employees who want to stay and do good work. So at the Health Collaborative, we do that by connecting everyone from students to educators to employers and job seekers to what they need to be successful. So there is a student section for you that you'll be able to use. So I remember I just mentioned that I would give you some steps to take care for figuring out if healthcare is a good fit for you. I thought I'd start by kind of touching on what brought me to Workforce Initiatives and why I'm sitting before you today. If you're a high school student watching this, I want you to know that you're already exceptional and doing great by taking the step to watch something about life after graduation. I kind of was figuring out what I wanted to do when I was in high school, and I had no clue. And but a number of jobs and educational experiences happened before I started this work. So I did get my bachelor's degree at Eastern Michigan University in communication and health administration, and then I came to Cincinnati when I got my master's in health promotion. I've had a few jobs, but I just mentioned the Health Collaborative since that's why I'm here today. We have several initiatives, and I've worked with Cincinnati MD Jobs and now with TAP Health and Workforce Innovation. If you learn nothing else from my presentation today, I want you to learn is that you can start equipping yourself right now with what you need to find a job you love one day, even if you don't know what that job is yet. So it's okay if you take a while to get there and figure it out. Okay, so I also have kind of like a mini little list of steps and mottos to help you out. And I think that these are good steps, whether you're going into healthcare or not, and whether you've decided. And I hope that you choose healthcare, because I feel like healthcare is a field that has something for everyone, no matter what you like to do, whether you're into tech or into clinical, which means working directly with patients, or if you're interested in working by yourself or not, ever seeing people at all. Whatever you want to do, there's jobs for that in healthcare. But we want to make sure our community has happy and quality employees, like I mentioned. So that comes from getting people in the jobs they love or like, and finding what's the right fit for you. So the steps I kind of am going to touch on are just steps to apply to all careers. Because if you go into healthcare, I want you to do it because you are really interested in it and not just because someone told you should go into healthcare one day. So the first step is be kind and listen to your teachers, counselors, and others you meet. And I know what you're thinking, that that's kind of cheesy, and maybe it is. I'm a cheesy person, but I do think that kindness is important. And I think it's a good lesson to start putting acts of kindness into your life right now. Even if you're a person right now who wouldn't be considered kind or a good listener, I just want you to know that it can go a long way in helping you establish a career. So maybe you can do some things now to put those types of steps into practice. As you prepare to graduate high school and after, you'll realize that there's so many times when you have the chance to connect with someone who may be important to your future. Counselors get asked to write a lot of letters of recommendation. So some of you probably asked your counselors for a letter to get into a program, or those of you that are applying to college. And I just want you to know that people who read those letters can often tell the difference if it's kind of like a standard letter or if it's someone who's always kind to that teacher or counselor, and if they're kind to the students. Teachers know those things, and they know what kind of, events and professions you'd be good for, and so they kind of tailor their letters that way. And so you want to make sure that you're kind to your teachers, not just because of that, but that's one of the benefits. And then also you want to set yourself apart. So maybe you can get letters or word of mouth from people who aren't even always your teachers and counselors, and a neighbor or a boss or a supervisor of a club you're in, or someone who works with a program you volunteer with. People can put in great words for you, and you want to get jobs and take interviews for internships. You'll want to impress people from the moment you walk in the door, because that person could be important to you. So I want you to always be, looking for what you want to do in your future, but also knowing that everyone matters, and that no matter what the job is, these people are, people who are doing good jobs, and that you want to connect with them and be kind to them. So whether it's like your receptionist, your Uber driver, your waiter at a restaurant, the person checking out your groceries at the store, these are people who can make a difference in your life. They might give a suggestion to you. They might tell you a story that makes you think, oh, that's the kind of career I want to go into. Or they might have a story about a friend that they knew impacted by healthcare or another field, and you were like, that's exactly what I want to do. You never know who can have an impact in your future. So be kind to everyone. Because it helps you make connections, it helps you stay remembered, and it helps you stand out. The next one, you hear this or some version of it all the time. Working hard is really important. You want to get the best grades you can, and you want to find your study and learning style. I really push this because I think hard work is important, but I also believe that finding what you like to study and how you best learn is as important as working hard. If you're good at flashcards, make flashcards. If you're good at writing everything out and reading it out loud, do that. You want to find what helps you study now, so that if and when you go to college, or if and when you apply for a job that requires you to know a lot of information, you already know the best way to study any material. And then you'll also know that if the way you study best isn't helping you grasp that material, then maybe that material or that job isn't the best path for you. In one of the programs I work with, we get to talk to doctors about what they studied in school, and some of them will say, well, I wasn't good at studying, so I majored in music because I was great at that, but then I made sure to study hard for the required courses to get into med school. Or maybe they chose their favorite science that had nothing to do with the body, like geology or something like that. And they still did well because they chose a career for them, and they chose to learn how to study the way that works best for them. As you get out of high school, you'll find that colleges and med school or whatever you end up doing has different ways to let you study how and learn independently. So if you're in med school, they'll let you maybe take classes virtually. This was even before the pandemic, or you might have to go to class, or you might do a combination of both. But it's something to look forward to. So right now is the time to truly discover what helps you study, so that when you're on your own one day, whether in college or learning material for a job, like I said, you can master how to do it in the fastest and best way for you. So while you're doing that, you want to discover what it is that you love to do and start keeping track now. And I know that sounds like basic common sense. You're like, well, of course I'm paying attention to what I want to do. But I want you to also, when you're at a job, think about what's your favorite part of a job. This is something I want to do all the time. Is it customer service? Do I love working with people? Maybe I need to stay in people's, in that type of field. Sometimes learning what you want to do is, or learning the things that you like to do about a job is just as important as the job that you're in. And sometimes that's just process of elimination. When I was in high school, I thought maybe I'll become a dentist, and my high school had this senior study thing for a week, and I worked at a dental office, and by the end of the week, I knew I did not want to be a dentist. So I did know I liked helping people. I liked being around people, but I was glad that I didn't waste time with that because I just kind of knew that I didn't like being in people's mouths, and I don't know why I thought I would. dentists are great, and there are people who can do that. So there's, just because a field sounds cool doesn't mean you necessarily should do it if it's not going to be the right field for you. So then I went to college, and remember I mentioned that I majored in communication, and I ended up loving my communication courses, but it's actually kind of amazing that I ended up on that path. Colleges, just like high school, will sometimes make you take prereqs, and at my college, they made it a requirement that everyone there took a speech course. Speech and public speaking is really important in a lot of jobs, not all, but a lot of them. And just like high schools, colleges, it's their goal to prepare you beyond the tassel too. They want to prepare you for when you leave college. But I hated public speaking, and I put it off for 3 semesters. And finally, at the end of my sophomore year, I took it. And I was so nervous and so bad at giving speeches that my first 4 out of 5 speeches I gave to just the professor, because I had a really cool professor who I told her I couldn't do it. I was having anxiety attacks. And so she let me give my speeches at the end of class 4 times. The last couple times, she said I had to find some students to watch me. So I made some friends a little bit and asked if they would just watch me do my speech, and I would give a speech to 2 or 3 kids. That's how bad I was at public speaking. But by the 5th time we had to give a speech, the last class, I was pretty good at it. I had gotten a lot better, and I was more confident, and there were people in my class like, who are you? Have you been in our class this whole time? And but I found that as much as I hated public speaking then, I loved getting to talk about the things I loved, and I loved preparing what I wanted to say. I loved getting to help people with things I knew and like tell people about things that would help them, and I loved learning how others communicate too, so I can better understand them. And so I ended up majoring in communication, where over 80% of the courses involve giving a speech at least once. And every job I've had that's come from that, from when I got to make programs for little kids about why they should not start smoking cigarettes, from when I worked at the American Cancer Society and got to run programs to prevent and early detect cancer. And even when I worked in a nail salon, because I'm actually a licensed nail tech, I wanted to get a job to fall back on. So while I was in college, I went to school to be a nail tech too. But in all those jobs, I get to talk to people. I get to learn what connects them to the world and how they fit into my work, and pamper them sometimes and just talk about their day. And those are jobs that I love, and every job I've had connects to my love of getting to know people better and making their lives better. And that's kind of how I got to what this is. So for you, it might be something to do that combines like science and food, like being a dietitian, if you like to maybe cook or you like how that works. If you like helping people speak better, you might be great as a speech therapist. You might like figuring out how the heart works or the brain or the lungs, which has been really important since the pandemic started. There are tons of jobs within each of those things. So there's, maybe there's the physician and maybe there's the surgeon, but there's also the people behind the scenes, and there's a nurse of every single type of field in healthcare that has a specialty. And so you might like helping people with their personal problems, such as counselors, or you might be good at helping people in high pressure situations, such as paramedics and trauma departments and things like that. And you might discover that you hate talking to people and think like, well, healthcare is not for me because I don't like people. And that's okay too. There are plenty of careers in healthcare that have to do with, some of them have to do with data, radiology. Some of them sit in dark rooms and never have to see people at all, ever. And it's still such a great field because they're so good at diagnosing problems and figuring out what's going on in x-rays that other people can't do their jobs because they get distracted by people. So don't feel like because you heard or you saw on a television show that this is what a healthcare professional looks like in this field, that means it's not for you. There's plenty of parts of healthcare that you would be good in. So start keeping track of all those things so that you can figure out what it is that makes up the perfect job for you. And there might be multiple jobs throughout your life that fit those qualifications. And finally, the last step is seeking out other experiences to learn and to stand out. So you're never going to figure out what you should do in healthcare or any field if you don't sometimes put yourself out there. Whether you're shy or outgoing, no matter what, there are things you can do. The fact you're watching this Beyond the Tassel event, whether you're watching it live on Facebook with us or you're watching on YouTube later, you're preparing for your future. You're taking a step to making the next step for your life. And there's lots of great videos, and there's podcasts, And there's things on social media, lots of things that can help you prepare for careers. There's talks you can go to, volunteering. I love volunteering, and I always encourage people to do that. Events, internships, job shadowing, assistantships. You'll learn what all those things mean, or you may have because your teachers and parents have been telling you. And you might have thought some of those things sound lame or cheesy, but I'm telling you that doing these things are the only way you're going to start being able to practice being kind and practice making connections and figure out how you study and learn and figure out how to keep track of what you love to do. So you have to get out there. You're already working on this step. Whether you're forced to watch this or not, I want you to keep at it. I want you to use resources that are out there to figure out what you want to do or not do and just keep fine-tuning that path. And that's kind of a summary of those 4 steps. So if you're still here for healthcare, I've got a fantastic resource of those steps. This isn't a duplicate. I know I've shared this slide before, but I popped it in here again just to tell you that it is a great resource for anyone who's interested in healthcare, especially students. I think that you might be interested just to visit, and the student section, like I mentioned before, has a lot of great information. So I put a lot of screenshots, and I'm going to go over really quickly from our site. I know sometimes people go through these things live, but I always worry technology is going to mess me up somehow, which is why I'm not in a technology career. But I took some screenshots so that we can keep everything going and you can see what the site looks like. But I do encourage you to visit it on your own and maybe type it in your phone now or bookmark it for later, or I'll keep posting it throughout the event. So you can find the student section in a couple ways, but some of the things that are on it, we have a regional training and education page, and it has all of our region's college level credential and degree programs that are healthcare based. There's also a section with career programs, so college programs and career programs. You might be in one of these already, but we try to list as many, and we're always updating the site. So if we hear about something or you know of something and you want to share, feel free to let us know. Another thing on the website, there's a student resource guide. This one is specifically for high school students. We have listed opportunities at all our region's major health systems and any others that we know about. So that means you can click on Christ Hospital or Cincinnati Children's or Mercy Health, and we have things right there that are specifically for high school students can apply for. There's a lot more that you may not know about. So I want you to go and check out the student resource guide. It also has some career tech programs listed that some of you may know about already, but also just to spread the word. And it has opportunities for you to explore health careers with national programs like HOSA, which you may have heard of. There's a national resource on there, Explore Health Careers. We have our regional branch of Junior Achievement, which puts on lots of events and sometimes have a healthcare focus. We have those listed on our site, as well as our programs that we have at the Health Collaborative. One of the programs featured there and a couple other spots on our website is TAP Health. So TAP is the heart of my job. I basically get to connect high school students to healthcare organizations and more and hospitals. And the program's existed about a decade. I've worked with it for a few years, and we've gotten to do some amazing things. And I'm just going to see if this plays and watch. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. You're like, all those events are in person and no one has masks on. These clips and photos are from before the pandemic started, and it's kind of what our program looked like. We did kind of switch to a virtual mode for the last couple of years, but we still got to have some fantastic events. And I just wanted you to kind of get to see what it's looked like in the past and what we hope it's going to look like, fingers crossed, next summer when we start the program again. You can find information about our TAP Health program on our website, including how to apply. I'm going to give you a heads up on something that we haven't officially shared yet. We used to have our TAP HC and TAP MD events, which are the main programs in this initiative, like every month. So students had to miss school and get transportation to one of the hospitals every month. And going forward in 2022, so next year, we are moving all of our events to the summer so that students can not have to miss school but still get to have the same awesome experiences as they're used to having. So we used to kind of be a little centered around the hospital's needs, but we decided we're going to center this program around your needs, the students, and make sure that you have the ability to get in. So this program is for 11th graders to apply. It will take place the summer before your seniors, when you're a rising senior. That's how it is currently as well. It's for 11th to 12th graders. So we won't interrupt that any, but I did want to let you know that. So if you're a freshman or sophomore, this is something to look forward to applying. If you're a junior currently, you can apply next spring. And if you're a senior already, then this is something you've missed, but I just kind of wanted to tell you that there's programs like this all the time going on in lots of places. And one thing you can go to, I know you probably saw the mention of HealthFORCE. That's our healthcare careers event that we've had for a few years. This year's is going to be virtual. It's on Thursday, November 4th, 9 to 11:15 a.m. HealthFORCE is so much fun. I hope everyone who sees this gets a lot out of this presentation, but also attends HealthFORCE or registers to be a part of the event. We have a panel of healthcare professionals. We have 20 different breakout specialties to choose from. We just have so many fun things. And even though it's online, there are some interactive elements. There's some live games. There's live interactive questions. There's a live chat that you can talk in. So if you're watching the panel and you're like, oh, I thought that was really cool, you can share that. You can share little photos if you want to upload them. There will be a live bingo game happening at one point during the event. There's some spin the wheel games, and you can get little gift cards for things like that. So there's a lot of fun elements to this game. To this event. And the best part is we don't just have one type of career featured. I like to think of HealthFORCE as a taste into healthcare. So rather than it being like an event that's featured just on one topic, you get to learn about so many topics all at once. And then you just get a little taste. And if you are interested in, careers that you get right out of high school, there's going to be some of those featured. There's going to be some that require, a lot more formal education and training, some that require bachelor's degrees or beyond, but we'll have it all there, and you can hop around to the different rooms and decide what you want to do. We're going to give you a taste of all of it. And we're also really fortunate that we're able to provide this event to our schools and all our students because of our two generous sponsors. There are Southwest Ohio Tech Prep, which is a program that provides resources to teachers to help prepare students for careers, not just in healthcare, but other fields as well. And you can find them on our website, as well as Life Center Organ Donor Network, which is an organization. I probably should have looked up their official model, but I believe it's an organization that literally ensures that you can have your best life. And if you move on from living, you can help others have their best lives. So it's a fantastic organization, and both of them are fantastic for helping to sponsor this event. I'm proud of the work they do and proud that they sponsored us. So when you go on our website, because you're wondering probably how do you sign up, you go to the wonderful website that I mentioned, and there's going to be a countdown. Today it's 22 days. I took the screenshot yesterday. And then there's also some information you can register. You can get an event flyer in case you want to share it with your friends or other people. There's some frequently asked questions. You can scan and register through your phone. There's a number of things. The registration button will take you to a site called Hopin. And Hopin is an event platform that I think a lot of you have used, because I know some schools use it for things, and some other events. It's the event where we're using to watch our event too and register, because as amazing as our workforce website is, we can't host 20 breakouts and panels and things like that. So we went to this platform. It's free for you to create an account. It takes like 2 minutes, less than, to create an account and register. And they'll send you the reminders for the event. And if you're a teacher that's watching, you can sign up your school or sign up just a class and say how many students are going to be attending with you. And but if you're a student, you also might want to sign up so that you can use the chat on your phone, however you want to do it. whether you're at home that day or you're in school, hopefully there'll be an opportunity for you to watch HealthFORCE. And finally, I did want to mention HealthFORCE kicks off National Health Professions Week, which is a national week where high school and colleges all over the country are learning about healthcare careers. November 4th, Thursday, to November 11th, that Thursday. So they have a slew of events on their website that are live, recorded. They have games, things you can sign up to win, health talks, which are kind of like videos. One of our colleagues from the Health Collaborative did a health talk on emergency preparedness that's going to be on that site, and then it'll be on our site the week after. And so there's a lot of great information about healthcare careers. So we're kicking off National Health Professions Week with HealthFORCE, but I hope that you enjoy it and take that taste and find some other things that you want to do, or maybe want to dive into some other careers. This year we're a 2020 Alliance Network partner. That's why you see our name right there. So I'm excited to help promote their events too, because I know that your interest might be piqued. To find experiences that you can start keeping track of, like I mentioned, that you want to do beyond graduation. So that's my entire presentation. I have talked so much, and so glad I took that speech course years ago. I would love to answer any questions, but also I have the website and my email there. So I don't know if there are any questions, Mike.
Yeah, we have some, and for those of you who are watching this live right now, if you want to type in any questions that you have in Facebook, we'll be able to answer those. But here's one question, Helena, is what is the biggest challenge to younger students entering the healthcare field, in your opinion? What is that biggest challenge for our younger students?
I think for younger students, they often don't know any other careers besides being a doctor or a nurse. So I think sometimes they'll start preparing for one path. Let's say they hear about being a nurse, or they hear about being a phlebotomist or something, and those are all great paths, but they'll start, doing their training, and then they'll realize, oh, I really want to do something like that. That's more along the lines of what I want to do. And that's why what I said about finding what you love about your job you can take that into account, because even if you are doing one thing in healthcare and you're working for one hospital, you're already building connections and partners and contacts for if you were to switch to a different field in healthcare. And you get to learn right on site about what people do, and so you'll know the next time.
Okay, great. Thank you. Here's a question about actually registering or attending the HealthFORCE event. So for students, can they just join part of the event, or do they need to be there for the entire 2 hours or so?
You don't have to be there the entire time. I do recommend trying to be there at least the 9 to 10 hour, because that's when the panel takes place. But if you register for HealthFORCE, what we do is we have your email address on like part of the registration part, and we're still going to send out a follow-up after the event, and that follow-up will include some information from some of the people that were there, as well as a link so that you can watch some of the videos. And so that's important too, since I said we have 20 breakout sessions. Obviously you can't attend all 20. We're going to have it broken down into like 4 time slots. So if you want to just watch, one in each of the 4 time slots, that's great. But if you want to hop back and forth, you can. And also, if you just want to watch all 20 later, you'll have those videos. So you don't have to be there for the whole event, but you should register in order to get on that email list. And hopefully you'll get to watch some of it.
Okay, that's great. Can students do all of this on their phone, or does it have to be a computer?
They can do it all on their phone as well. It's really easy. You just go to that link, which is bit.ly/HealthForce21. I should have kept the slide up. But I can probably put it in the chat too. But you just go to that link and you'll be able to register. You can do it from a phone, a tablet, a laptop. Hopin is a really accessible platform now.
Right. And then one more question. If I'm a teacher and I'm registering my entire class,
yes.
How does that work as far as, am I registering individual students, or is it something that we would all watch together, maybe on the projector or the screen in my classroom?
So you can watch it as a group. There's a specific registration that says teacher/school registration, and you can go in, register your contact name and info, and put in how many students are watching with you that you expect. If that number changes, that's fine. And that way you don't have to give us all those students' names. Now because we are having some prizes and things like that, that kind of stuff is automatically generated through the people who are logged in watching. So we can't promise that your student can win a prize if they're not logged in. But you can watch as a class, and they still might win because we do have some that are tied in, and maybe your whole class will win something split. So it's really easy for teachers. We definitely don't make you have to give us all the kids' names.
Okay, great. So here's a question for you. In your presentation, you mentioned that students could start keeping track of their likes and dislikes as far as what they want to do in the future. How would you recommend students actually keep track of those likes and dislikes? Kind of what way would they do that?
So, I mean, paying attention is obviously key, but I also think writing things down in like a journal was probably helpful for me. But I feel like now kids have technology, so every phone has a notes app, and I would start a notes app because that goes to your next phone. Even if you get a new iPhone or a new Android, you can still usually access your notes app. Or you can start an email like in your Google, just like a draft email to yourself, and just put like a list of things that you liked about your job and from every experience. And this also is really important in helping you build a resume, because it used to be with resumes you would list where you worked, and now you can list where you work, but you also want to pull out those skills that you developed while you were working someplace. So if they were like team building skills, or managed a group project, or led a team of this many people, you want to be able to list those things. And so keeping track of stuff like that is really important. And it's important for adults too, and who are already working. And I think we sometimes forget to do it, but it's really important to have like a document where you drop in all your successes and your highlights and what you liked about a job, so that when you go to the next one, you can just pull all that stuff up. So that's one way.
That's great. Good point. I think we have one last question for you. So we know that there's such a range of salaries in healthcare. So one of the questions is, can you really make a self-sustaining living in healthcare? And then kind of at the top end, any idea how much maybe like an executive director of a hospital with several years of experience makes? So people have an idea of, this is what you can work your way towards.
Yes. So the hospitals do have minimum wage requirements now, most of them. And so you can make anywhere from maybe 30 grand a year to there are people that make probably close to $1 million a year in healthcare. The administrators, they tend to have so much experience and have so many years under their belt, and they're running, 500 people or more employees, and they're running initiatives and things like that. So I know that sometimes people will think like, well, healthcare, they can't make money because they're helping people. But if you think about how important it is for a business to have good leadership and how leadership gets paid at other organizations, you wouldn't want people who aren't good at their jobs to be running the hospitals. So they're also making a lot of money. So healthcare administration is a great field to go into as well, if you're not really interested in the clinical side, because I'd say that just working in HR, they all make at least 60 or 70,000 a year or more, if that's something you want to make. And then same with clinicians. It's kind of all over the place with clinicians because there's people in the hospital at different levels. Physicians tend to make at least 100,000 a year, depending on what they do. And one of the things is you hear about how much college costs. When you work for hospitals, even if you're not a physician, it's a nonprofit. So sometimes you can kind of get student loan forgiveness after you've been there for so many years. Hospitals have a ton of programs to help get their employees to different levels. So they'll like pay for you to go to school, not just pay you back, but pay for you to go, and you can still work while you're doing that and still making all your connections and have a job guaranteed. So you can save a lot of money that way too.
Okay, well, thank you for answering those questions, and we want to really thank you for taking up your time today and also for preparing ahead of time. Really a great presentation. So I applaud you for doing this for us today. So Cincinnati Public Schools really appreciates what you're doing.
I appreciate you. I hope everyone at Cincinnati Public Schools knows how hard that Mike works for you all. He's always coming up with great things, working with everyone to make your program successful and help these students and
Well,
teachers.
I appreciate that. And so for those of you out there, just a couple things before we close. One of the things that really struck me, even though I'm not in healthcare, but Helena, one of the things that you said in your presentation is one of the things that students should do and all of us should do is really be kind to people and really have those acts of kindness. And so I challenge everyone to really intentionally for the rest of the day today or whenever your day is when you're watching this presentation, intentionally do something kind for someone and it will bless you greatly. So I appreciate you pointing that out and everything else that you did. Our next Beyond the Tassel is actually a college emphasis. It will be held on Tuesday, October 26th at 2 p.m. and it will focus on financial aid. So for any of you that have questions about financial aid or maybe you're struggling with that concept, please tune in here on Tuesday, October 26th at 2 p.m. on Facebook. And we just so much appreciate everyone joining us here today, and we hope that you have a great rest of the day. Thank you.